My name is Maya Ellis, and I was just about to sign the last set of papers that would make everything official. The mansion, the estate, and the $2 million my Aunt Evelyn left me. For the first time in my life, I felt steady. I thought the storm of my past was finally behind me. Then came the knock. When I opened the door, my parents, people I hadn't seen in 15 years, stood on the porch, smiling like they'd never abandoned me. My mother's voice was sweet as syrup when she said, "We're here to help you manage everything, Maya. You don't have to do this alone." My heart stopped. My parents, the same people who walked away when I was just 7, had suddenly reappeared the exact week my aunt's lawyer confirmed the inheritance. Before I go deeper, let me ask you, where are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Back to that day. At first, I thought it was a sick joke. They had never once called on my birthdays, never showed up to my high school graduation, not even when I got into college on scholarships. Yet here they were, acting like family, as if the words still meant something between us. But the real shock came minutes later. As I stood frozen in the foyer, a sheriff walked up the driveway holding a thick envelope. He handed it to me with a flat look. I tore it open, my fingers trembling. Inside were emergency guardianship papers, filed by my parents. They weren't here to apologise. They weren't here to reconnect. They were here to take everything my aunt left me. The house I grew up in, the money that was supposed to secure my future, even my right to make decisions for myself. For a moment, the walls of the mansion seemed to close in. Aunt Evelyn's favourite oil painting, the smell of lavender from the hall, the soft ticking of the antique clock, all of it felt unreal, like I was sinking into someone else's nightmare. I clutched the papers to my chest, trying not to collapse right there on the tile floor. Memories of my childhood flooded back in messy flashes. The night my parents left with just 2 suitcases, telling me it was for the best. Aunt Evelyn kneeling in front of me, brushing tears off my cheeks, whispering, "I'll never leave you, Maya, not ever." Her voice guiding me through homework, through heartbreak, through life itself. She was the only real parent I had ever known. And now these strangers, my own blood, were trying to strip that away. I tried to steady my breathing. Aunt Evelyn always told me, when people come at you with claws, don't match their rage, match it with your strength. But strength felt far away as I stared at the signatures on those papers. My father's name, my mother's name. Their bold claim that I wasn't fit to handle the inheritance, that they should step in as guardians for my own good. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. For a moment, I almost laughed. It was so absurd, so cruel, so perfectly timed. Then I looked up and saw them still standing there side by side on the porch, expectant smiles on their faces like they had already won. I wanted to scream. I wanted to slam the door in their faces. But instead, I just stood still, holding that envelope, wondering what kind of twisted game they were about to play. And then, just as I thought it couldn't get worse, the sheriff cleared his throat and said, "Maya Ellis, your accounts are being frozen pending review." Everything inside me went cold. The fortune wasn't mine anymore. Not unless I fought. The sheriff's words rang in my ears. My accounts were frozen. It felt like someone turned off the sun. I stood in the foyer while the lavender smell turned sharp. My parents waited on the porch, smiling without warmth. "I'll need your cards," the sheriff said. "Standard until the judge reviews the filing." I slid out my debit card and my new trust card with shaking fingers. They looked dull, like useless metal. I thought of tuition, the light bill, and the small fund Aunt Evelyn told me to keep for emergencies. All of it paused. My mother leaned in the doorway. "See? This is why you need us," she said softly. "Money is heavy, Maya." Her voice was honey. Her eyes were stone. My father nodded. "We'll get you set up. We should talk about the house." I swallowed. "You left me," I said. The words tasted like chalk. After the sheriff left, I closed the door and pressed my forehead to the wood. I needed air. I needed Aunt Evelyn's calm. I walked to the kitchen where afternoon light poured across the table. My aunt's teacup still sat on the shelf. I touched it and felt her near me. A memory opened like a door. I was 7. Night pressed my window. Suitcases rolled down the hall. My mother cupped my face, saying, "It's for the best." My father would not look at me. The door closed. I heard the car engine. Then Aunt Evelyn's slippers whispered over the floor. She wrapped me in her robe, smelled like soap and cinnamon toast, and said, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." She made cocoa and let me cry. We counted slow breaths. "We will build a warm life," she said, brick by brick. The memory faded. I held the table and breathed the way she taught me, brick by brick. I called the bank. The woman was kind but firm. "There's a legal hold," she said. "I'm sorry. We'll alert you after court." I called attorney Selena Rivera and left a message. "Emergency," I said. "They filed for guardianship." I checked the pantry. Enough food for a week. The power bill was auto-paid. My scholarships were safe. I could wait. I could stand like a tree in a storm. A car engine grumbled outside, tyres on gravel. I looked through the window and my chest clamped tight. They were back. My parents stood at the iron gate with a tall man in a dark suit. He wore mirror sunglasses and a smile. He tapped a folder against his palm. Behind them, the car idled. I stepped onto the porch and walked to the gate. The iron felt cool under my hand. "You need to leave," I said. My voice sounded steady. It surprised me. The man lifted his glasses. "I'm Mr. Hale," he said. "I represent Lena and Mark Carter. We have concerns for your stability. Handling a large estate is complex." My father added, "You're overwhelmed. Anyone can see that." The world narrowed to the click of the gate latch and the thud of my heart. I saw the girl who waited for people who never came back. I saw the woman Aunt Evelyn raised to stand tall. "I'm not overwhelmed," I said. "I'm prepared." Mr. Hale's smile thinned. "The court will decide." His hand reached for the call button on the gate. Cold, sure, final. He pressed it. The buzzer screamed. The buzzer screamed like a warning siren. Mr. Hale kept his finger on the button, steady. My parents stood close, pretending to look worried, but their eyes were with hunger. The iron bars shook with a small rattle, like teeth. "I said you need to leave," I told them again. "You can talk to my lawyer." Mr. Hale tilted his head. "Maya, your lawyer can join us later. Right now, your safety is urgent. Money and houses attract trouble. You need experienced family to help." "My experienced family left," I said. My mother flinched, then gave a soft smile. "We made mistakes, honey. We signed papers years ago. We sold our rights. It was a hard time. We thought it was best. Now we want to fix it." My father nodded quickly. "We can reverse it. There are forms. We'll be careful this time." "No," I said. "You don't get to sell me and then buy me back." Wind moved through the oak trees and made the shade flicker over their faces. Mr. Hale tapped the folder against the bar. "Let's be practical. The court already froze your accounts. That means concerns exist. We will file for full guardianship today and request immediate control." He slid a paper through the bars. I did not touch it. "You'll only make this harder," he said. "Harder for who?" I asked. For you, he said, smiling again. I held his eyes. I'm safe. I have counsel. Leave now. He watched me and let go of the buzzer. The gate fell quiet. Very well. Expect service. We'll show the judge you are not ready to manage a $2 million estate. My mother lifted her hand to touch my cheek, then stopped. Sweetheart, you were always sensitive. Let us handle the big things. I turned and walked back up the path. Lavender brushed my knees. The porch boards hummed under my feet like a drum. Inside the house, the air was cool and soft. I closed the door, locked it, and set the chain. My fingers were trembling, but my spine felt like steel. I moved room to room, touching the life Aunt Evelyn built. The chess set, the cookbooks, the quilt she stitched when I was 12. In each room, I said in my head, "This is my home." I stood in front of the piano and looked at the framed photos. One showed us in winter hats, our noses red, laughing. Another showed me with a spelling bee ribbon, Aunt's arm tied around me. I pressed my finger on the glass and whispered, "Help me be brave." My phone buzzed, a text from attorney Selena Rivera. I saw the freeze notice. I'm on my way. Do not sign anything. Do not speak to them alone. I typed back, "At the gate now. They threatened guardianship today." "Hold," she replied. "I'll meet you at the courthouse." I put on the navy dress and flat shoes. I tied my hair and washed my face. I looked like a person going to work, not war. As I grabbed my bag, a voice floated in from the porch. Mr. Hale again, near the door, speaking into his phone, not caring if I heard. "She's fragile," he said. "We'll push incompetence. Fast-track guardianship. Title next." My hand paused on the knob. He knocked once, calm and sharp. "Miss Ellis," he called. "The hearing is in 2 hours. We will prove you're unfit today." Through the window, I saw a process server step from the curb, lifting a second envelope with my name. The courtroom felt too big, like a church where I didn't belong. The clock over the judge's bench ticked loud. My shoes clicked on the tile as I walked to our table with dry hands and a tight throat. The clerk said, "Emergency guardianship hearing for Maya Ellis." My name echoed like metal. Mr. Hale sat with my parents at the other table. He smiled like this was a friendly talk, not a knife. My mother wore a soft blue dress. My father wore a grey suit that made him look important. They did not look at me. They looked at the judge. "Where is your attorney?" the clerk asked. "She's on her way," I said. "Traffic." The clerk nodded and told me to sit. I sat straight, hands folded, like Aunt Evelyn taught me for serious places. I laid my purse on the chair beside me and kept my eyes on the wood grain of the table. The grain made a long river. I followed it with my finger to keep my breath slow. The bailiff called, "All rise." The judge walked in with calm steps and a still face. We sat. The judge looked at a thin stack of papers. "We have a petition for emergency guardianship and conservatorship for Ms. Maya Ellis, aged 22, the judge said. Petitioners are Lena and Mark Carter. The judge looked up. "Parents?" My mother raised her hand. "Yes, Your Honour." The judge turned to me. "Ms. Ellis, do you have counsel present?" "Not yet," I said. "She is close." "We will proceed with care," the judge said. "Mr. Hale?" Mr. Hale stood. "Your Honour, this is urgent. Ms. Ellis has inherited a $2 million estate and a historic property. There are concerns about her capacity to manage complex finances. We ask for immediate control to safeguard assets." He handed the clerk a folder. Affidavits are inside, notes from teachers, neighbours, a doctor visit from years ago. He smiled. Patterns of instability. Heat burned my cheeks. Teachers? Neighbours? A doctor visit when I had panic after midterms? He dragged crumbs into a meal. "Ms. Ellis," the judge said. I stood. My voice shook once, then steadied. "Your Honour, I have lived in that home since I was 7. I earned scholarships. I paid bills on time. I have a lawyer and a trust officer. I am not unstable. I am grieving. That is not the same as unfit. Mr. Hale cut in. She is alone, Your Honour. No parents, no spouse. She is vulnerable to bad actors. I am not alone, I said. I have family. My mother tilted her head. She means friends, Your Honour. Strangers. Not true family. My stomach twisted. I pictured Coco in Aunt's kitchen. 2 mugs, 2 spoons. Family is who stays, I said. The judge held up a hand. Order. We will keep emotion low and facts high. The judge studied the papers. I see the bank has frozen accounts pending review. Eyes came back to me. Ms. Ellis, can you meet basic needs during the freeze? Yes, I said. For now. Very well, the judge said. Mr. Hale, your petition rests on claims of incompetence. I will need concrete proof. Mr. Hale nodded. We will file evaluations. We also note confusion around custody and parental rights. There were documents years ago. The status is unclear. A door at the back clicked. Shoes hurried down the aisle. I turned. Attorney Selena Rivera slipped into the room like a blade in a velvet sleeve. Her suit was black. Her eyes were bright and sure. She set a lever case on our table and squeezed my shoulder once. Quiet. Strong. Apologies, Your Honour, she said. I have material that resolves the rights issue and capacity question. The judge frowned. Material? Selena lifted a sealed envelope with my aunt's neat handwriting across the front. For Maya, to be opened if Lena and Mark return. My breath stopped. Selena's voice was steady. This is from the decedent, Evelyn Ellis. It contains executed adoption records and protective planning documents. It also contains video statements made over several years. Mr. Hale froze. The judge leaned forward. Bring it here. Selena stepped toward the bench, the envelope bright as a flare in her hands. She handed it over. The judge checked the handwriting, then the seal. Counsel, what's inside? Certified copies, Selena said. Adoption decree for Maya Ellis by the late Evelyn Ellis, entered in this county. Also, prior termination of parental rights for Lena and Mark Carter, signed years ago. And trust documents showing plan support. These go to standing and to capacity safeguards. Mr. Hale rose. Objection to opening without foundation. Selena nodded calmly. Foundation is the court file numbers on the certifications and the notary seals. These are public records. The originals are on file. The clerk can confirm. The judge broke the seal, lifted a blue ribbon packet, and read in silence. Pages turned. A clock ticked. My palms sweated. My legs felt like air. I watched the judge's eyes slow on the gold seal. The judge looked up. Petitioners, please stand. My parents stood. This court entered a final adoption decree naming Evelyn Ellis as Maya's legal mother when Maya was 9, the judge said. Before that, Ms. Ellis obtained termination of your parental rights with your signed consents. That means you are not legal parents and have no standing to seek guardianship on that basis. Mr. Hale cleared his throat. Your Honour, may we be heard? In a moment, the judge said. Ms. Rivera, anything further? Yes, Your Honour. Selena opened her case and slid another set forward. Certified trust and will. They show Aunt Evelyn placed the mansion and funds under a revocable trust, then into a spendthrift trust for Maya with professional oversight. There are letters from the treating physician stating Ms. Ellis had full capacity when signing. We also have bank oversight letters describing safeguards. Mr. Hale tried again. We still have concerns about Ms. Ellis's capacity today. Selena spoke softly. That is not the standard for an emergency guardianship, and guardianship is a last resort. There are less restrictive alternatives in place. A trust, a trustee, and counsel. The judge nodded. Agreed. Emergency guardianship requires immediate risk and no other protections. Here, the decedent planned extensively. A breath I didn't know I held fell out of me. I looked at the wood grain again. No river now, just a steady road. The judge turned to me. Ms. Ellis, do you have food, utilities and access to counsel? Yes, Your Honour. Good. The judge faced the other table. Petition for emergency guardianship is denied. Accounts are unfrozen, subject to existing trust controls. Mr. Hale's smile failed. Understood. My mother gripped the table. But where her family? The judge's voice was gentle but firm. The law recognises the parent who raised and adopted her. You relinquished your rights. You may care about Ms. Ellis, but you do not control her. A small sound escaped me, half laugh, half sob. Selena's hand squeezed my shoulder once. I sat down fast before my knees gave out. For a second, the past and present folded together. I saw a small cake on a chipped plate. Aunt Evelyn lit one candle and whispered, "Blow. Make a wish for a safe life." I wished for a mother who stayed. I got her. Selena leaned close. "You did well. Thank you," I said. My voice was thin but steady. Across the aisle, my parents spoke in low, tight whispers. Mr. Hale gathered his papers. My mother's face was pale. My father's jaw jumped. They started for the door. As they passed, my mother glanced down without meeting my eyes and murmured, "Plan B." Mr. Hale pushed the door open. My father followed, phone already to his ear. They did not look back. Outside the courthouse, the air felt new. Selena walked beside me, quick and calm. "We won the emergency," she said, "but they won't stop. Expect tricks." "What first?" "Eat, then change passwords. I'll alert the bank and trustee." Back at the mansion, my phone buzzed 3 times. The trust portal flagged a login from a new device in another state. A failed transfer of $5,000 and a security challenge triggered. My stomach flipped. The IP matched a city my parents once lived in. I changed every password to long strings Aunt Evelyn called ladders, added a hardware key and phoned the bank. "This is Carla, Fraud Prevention. We saw the attempts, no funds moved, the trust controls held." "Thank you. We're opening a case. Avoid public Wi-Fi. Don't reply to urgent emails." "I won't," Selena called. "I looped in the trustee, Dana Patel. Expect her." Sun slid across the kitchen floor. For a minute, the house was only a house. I could almost hear Aunt Evelyn spoon. The doorbell rang. On the camera, a courier held a slim envelope. I signed and took it inside. A plain letter said, "Maya, we can still help. Sign the enclosed and we'll lift the freeze today." A form with my name sat on top. Limited power of attorney. The signature line waited. I photographed everything and sent it to Selena. She wrote back, "Do not sign. Forward to fraud." I taped the papers back in the envelope and wrote the date. The phone rang again. "Ms. Ellis? Dana Patel, trustee officer. I saw the alerts. Good job changing passwords. We'll add geofencing and a whitelist. Thanks. A courier brought a power of attorney." "Do not sign anything," Dana said. "Authority sits in the trust. The trustee acts with your consent." I walked the hall while we spoke. "They aren't going to stop. People chase money like heat," Dana said. "We use shade. We use law." After we hung up, I sat on the stairs with Aunt's locket. No tears, just the firm click of resolve. Evening came. I made tea and opened the mail. Flyers, a charity note, and a thick envelope from a title office across town. I frowned. I hadn't started any title work. Inside was a receipt. "Thank you for submitting your power of attorney." It listed my name, a file number for the mansion, and said the signature was verified. A clerk's note read, "Ownership update in process." My skin went cold. The signature looked like mine, but it wasn't. I dialed Selena. She answered on the first ring. "What happened?" "Someone filed a power of attorney at a title office under my name," I said. "They're moving the house." "Hold the line," she said, and clicked away. The refrigerator hummed. I stared at the forged loop in the M. Another call beaked in. "Miss Ellis, this is the title supervisor," a woman said, brisk and breathless. "Did you sign a power of attorney today authorising transfer of 14 North Laurel?" "No," I said, "I did not." "Did anyone from your law firm deliver one?" "No." "Understood. Then this is likely identity fraud. We're pausing the file, but we need your counsel to send a formal objection now." "Yes," I said, "they're on it." Headlights slowed outside the gate. A car idled. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text blinked onto my screen. "Sign or lose everything." I locked the doors, set the alarm, and filmed the forged papers on my phone, just in case. My hands shook while the engine growled outside. We left the courthouse at noon. My phone buzzed. A bank alert flashed. Unrecognised login. Attempted transfer flagged. I opened the app. A new device in another city had tried to move $3,000 from my checking to an outside account I didn't know. The attempt failed. Another alert. Multiple password tries. Access locked. Selena read over my shoulder. "Call the trust office. Use the secure line." In her car, I dialed the number Aunt Evelyn kept in her recipe book. A calm man answered. "Trust desk, Daniel Hart." "This is Maya Alice," I said. "There was a login attempt. Please lock everything." "I see it," he said. Keys clicked. "Your funds sit in a spendthrift trust with limits and dual approvals. Your checking is small by design. We'll rotate credentials and issue hardware keys. Do you have your recovery card?" "Yes," I said. "Good. Any new device must be approved by phone and token," Daniel said. "We also run positive pay on the estate account. I'll add a fraud watch to your credit files. Expect texts. Approve none. A courier will bring new keys this afternoon." I ended the call. I had thought the fight lived in courtrooms. It also lived in wires. Selena started the engine. "They lost standing, so they'll try theft around the edges. We go methodical. Passwords, devices, title. Shut every door." "I can do that," I said, brick by brick. At home, I pulled the fireproof safe from the hall closet and set it on the dining table. Inside were Aunt's notes, my passport, the recovery card, and her locket. Daniel called back. "Courier leaves in 30. Meanwhile, check email filters and forwarding rules." I followed his steps. There it was. A hidden rule sending bank emails to a strange address. I deleted it and changed the master password. Selena watched. Good. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Wynne from next door held a casserole. "Court went your way?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Your aunt was proud of you," she said, and left. My phone rang again, the county title office. The clerk spoke carefully. "Ms. Ellis, we're verifying a power of attorney you submitted this morning to transfer the deed for your Wren Street property into a limited company." "I did not submit that," I said. "I have no power of attorney anywhere." Paper rustled. "We received a notarised form with your name, a signature and a copy of your driver's licence. It requests immediate recording." Selena took the phone. "This is attorney Selena Rivera for Ms. Ellis. Please do not record any deed. Email the documents to my office and hold them as suspected fraud. We will appear in person with identification." "Understood," the clerk said. "The messenger who delivered it said he will return in 1 hour for the stamped copy." I pictured Aunt Evelyn planting lavender by the front walk. We'll be there before him. Selena ended the call. Grab your ID and the trust packet. Daniel will alert the title insurer and the recorder. I locked the safe and slid the recovery card into my wallet. Another bank alert buzzed. New payee added. Blocked. We reached the car. Selena opened my door. You don't have to be louder, she said. You have to be clear. I'm clear, I said. She dialed Daniel on speaker. We're en route to the county recorder. Hold all filings on Wren Street under a fraud flag. Flagged, he said. I stared at the iron gate. A forged power of attorney was moving to steal my house. We reached the county recorder in 30 minutes. The lobby smelled like paper and dust. A line curled past the glass windows. Selena took a number and leaned close. Remember, she said, you only say your name and that you do not consent. I can do that, I said. Daniel called on speaker. The fraud flag is active. If anyone tries to record a deed for Wren Street, the clerk must check ID and call us. Our number flashed. We stepped to the counter. The clerk's badge read L. Garza. Name? She asked. Maya Ellis, I said. I do not consent to any power of attorney in my name. Selena slid over my licence, the trust packet, and the certified adoption decree. We believe a forged power of attorney may be presented today to transfer Ms. Ellis's property. Ms. Garza typed. Her brow tightened. Here it is. An attempted deed from Wren Holdings LLC with a power of attorney signed by you this morning. I did not sign that, I said. She nodded. We have mismatched notary numbers and a blurred seal. I'm rejecting the document for defects. I will also place a notice of suspected fraud on the parcel. If anyone tries again, our system will hold it and notify you. Thank you, Selena said. May we file an affidavit of non-consent and a request for identity verification on future deeds? Yes, Ms. Garza said, handing us forms. Fill these and we'll index them to the title. While we wrote, a man in a courier jacket stepped in with a tube. He looked at me, turned and left. Selena's pen did not slow. Paper tigers, she murmured. They look big until someone checks the ink. We notarised the affidavit at the corner window. The notary compared my face to my licence twice. I kept my breath steady. Brick by brick. Daniel texted. Title insurer filed a claim block. Deed theft team informed. I exhaled for the first time all day. Back at the mansion, afternoon light warmed the porch. I set the safe back in the closet. My hands finally stopped shaking. Selena gathered her case. You did well, she said. They wanted panic. You gave them paperwork. I smiled. What now? Now we keep living, she said. Change passwords again tonight. Lock your credit. I'll send steps. After she left, the house felt quiet. I made tea in Aunt Evelyn's blue mug and carried my laptop to the sunroom. I opened the folder she named For Bright Days. Inside was a video. I clicked play. Aunt Evelyn sat in her favourite chair, the quilt over her knees. Hi, Star, she said. If you're watching this, someone is pushing you. Her smile was soft and fierce. Listen, you don't need to win by breaking them. Win by building your life. Use the trust. Use your voice. Choose peace with strong walls. Tears slid down my face. I let them fall. I miss you, I whispered. I love you more, she said in the video. Go water the lavender. Eat something good. The video ended. The room felt warmer. I watered the lavender by the porch. The sun dipped low. For one clear minute, I felt safe. My phone buzzed. A new message lit the screen. It was a link from an unknown number. A tabloid headline roared up in giant letters. Heiress tricked dying aunt. Insider claims elder abuse. My breath caught. Under it, a blurry photo of me at the hospital and a quote from my mother. My knees went weak. Inside. The headline burned my eyes. I closed the laptop and locked the front door. My hands would not stop shaking. I breathed in for 4 counts and out for 6, the way Aunt taught me, brick by brick. Outside, tyres crunched the curb. Voices rose. I peeked through the curtain. A van slid to a stop by the iron gate. Another car parked behind it. A man with a camera jumped out. A woman in a red blazer followed, holding a mic. They pointed toward the house. The camera light blinked on. More cars came. Neighbours opened doors. The street grew tight with faces I did not know. The first reporter called, "Maya, did you trick your aunt? Sources say you pushed her to change her will." My mouth went dry. I stayed still. The gate was shut. The code was mine. The buzzer stayed dark. A second voice yelled, "Is it true your parents are taking back guardianship? Do you plan to fight them? Are you in therapy?" My phone buzzed and buzzed. Unknown numbers. I turned it face down. I did not open the door. The bell rang anyway. Reporters pressed the call button at the fence, fast and rude. The buzzer wailed like a siren, then stopped, then wailed again. I stepped onto the porch and hit the mute switch inside the panel. Silence fell. "Please leave," I called through the screen. "This is private property." I went back inside and locked the door. The house was calm. Sun moved across the floor. The lavender on the porch stirred in the wind like a hand waving me back to myself. A tap sounded at the side door. I checked the little window. Mrs. Newen stood there with a thermos and a small basket. I opened the door and pulled her inside. "She said rude things," Mrs. Newen told me. "Your mother. Reporters are like ants to candy. Here." She poured hot tea into Aunt's blue mug. "Drink." The cup warmed my fingers. I took a sip. Sweet and simple. "When my husband passed," she said, "they came here too. Not cameras, bankmen. They spoke hard words. I learned to say only what is true. The rest is wind." She squeezed my shoulder. "Your aunt loved to brag about your grades. She kept your drawings on her fridge until the magnets broke." My eyes stung. I laughed a little. She liked the one with the crooked house. "She said the house was only crooked because the ground was soft," Mrs. Newen said. Then she planted lavender to hold the soil. We sat for a moment and listened to the outside noise grow and fade like the sea. My phone buzzed with a new voicemail. Mrs. Newen nodded. "Check it," she said. "Then eat bread." I played it on speaker. My father's voice filled the kitchen. "Maya, it's Dad. We have your real birth record, not the one Evelyn used. Meet us tonight at Sevenoaks Park, 9 o'clock. Come alone. If you don't, we show the press. We say you and Evelyn lied for years. We say the adoption was a trick. Your choice." The line clicked. Mrs. Newen put down the bread. Her face tightened. "That is not a father's voice," she said. My thumb hovered over the delete icon. I did not press it. I saved the message. I walked to the porch and looked at the gate and crowd. I remembered Aunt's video. Choose peace with strong walls. I picked up my phone and called Selena. I told Selena about the voicemail. She didn't pause. "Forward it. Do not reply. We'll log it as extortion." 10 minutes later, we were at the precinct. The sergeant copied the audio, noted the time, and gave me a case number. "Do not meet them alone," he said. At the courthouse, Selena handed me a folder. "We're filing for a temporary restraining order and an injunction against fraudulent filings. Also, no contact except through counsel. Will the judge listen? I asked. Judges like plans, she said. Inside, the same judge took the bench. The clerk called our case. Mr. Hale stood with my parents. Their eyes slid past me like I was furniture. Selina spoke first. Your Honour, since the last hearing, petitioners or agents attempted deed theft using a forged power of attorney, triggered bank fraud alerts, and sent my client a voicemail demanding a meeting under threat of smear. We ask for a TRO and an order directing the recorder and financial institutions to hold any filing or transfer naming Ms. Ellis unless approved by her trustee, or this court. She played the voicemail. My father's voice filled the room. We have your real birth record. He named the place and time. Your choice. Mr. Hale adjusted his tie. Your Honour, the call was a plea for dialogue. The judge's face did not change. It sounded like leverage. Selina lifted a packet. Exhibits A through G. Adoption decree, termination of parental rights, trust certifications, bank fraud reports, the recorder's defect notice, affidavit of non-consent, and the police report. Foundation? The judge asked. Certified copies and custodian declarations, she said. Admitted, the judge said, and looked at Mr. Hale. Counsel? He rose. We contest nothing today, Your Honour, but there remain questions about Ms. Ellis's identity and the validity of the adoption. The judge set the papers down. The adoption is a final judgment of this court. Termination of parental rights is also final. Those records control. Warmth spread through my chest. It felt like a lock clicking. Selina kept her tone even. We request the TRO and the anti-fraud injunction. Mr. Hale lifted his hands. We oppose only the breadth. My mother spoke, voice soft. We just want to see our daughter. I stared at the table and counted breaths. The judge signed. Temporary restraining order granted for 30 days. No contact except through counsel. Recorder and financial institutions shall reject filings or transfers naming Ms. Ellis unless approved by Ms. Ellis, her trustee, or this court. Hearing on the preliminary injunction is set in 2 weeks. I exhaled. The judge added, Mr. Hale, advise your clients to stop creative filings. We began to gather our things when he cleared his throat. One more issue, Your Honour. He looked at my mother. She opened a portfolio and drew out a crisp document with a red ribbon and an out-of-state seal. Mr. Hale held it up. Newly discovered evidence. An adoption reversal order from the state of Westfield, issued 6 months after the Ellis decree. It declares the adoption void for fraud. Air vanished from my lungs. Selina didn't flinch. Your Honour, Westfield has no jurisdiction over a finalised decree from this court. Mr. Hale's gaze glinted. Unless the fraud occurred here and the child never should have been adopted at all. My mother met my eyes and smiled a small, bright smile. Shall we mark it as Exhibit H? Mr. Hale asked. The judge leaned forward to read. The courtroom held its breath as the paper touched the bench, edges trembling. The judge studied the ribboned paper, then set it down. Counsel, I will not accept this at face value. If you want me to consider it, we'll test it. The gavel touched wood. Court reconvenes in 1 week for an evidentiary hearing. Bring the custodian of records and a forensic examiner. Outside, my legs felt hollow. Selina walked beside me like a calm metronome. We asked for sunlight, she said. Now we get it. I thought it was over, I whispered. It isn't over, she said. But it is clear. We spent the afternoon with a forensic examiner, Dr. Renee Klein. Her lab smelled like lemon. She wore cotton gloves and spoke softly. She photographed the Westfield paper, then slid it under magnification. Notary seal is a rubber stamp, not a crimp. Westfield uses embossers. Ink shows toner speckle, laser printed, not typewriter or wet ink from that year. She angled a side light. See this? The signature rides on top of the copy toner, not under. That means the page was printed first, then someone added a signature image. My stomach twisted. So it's fake? Indicators of fabrication are high, Dr. Klein said. I'll write a report and bring exemplars and a scope to court. Selena's pen moved quick. Chain of custody starts now, she said. We'll file her declaration tonight. On the drive home, the sky turned the colour of peaches. I cracked the window and breathed. A thought rose and sat heavy. They would rather burn my past than face their own choices. At the mansion, I set my bag down and took Aunt's locket from the safe. I walked to Maple Grove Cemetery with a small bouquet of daisies. The stone was simple. Evelyn Ellis. She stayed. I knelt and pressed my palm to the warm granite. I am trying, I told her. I'm not swinging back. I'm building. Wind moved through oak leaves, a soft hush like pages turning. I thought of Coco, of spelling bees, of her laugh when the cake stuck to the pan and we ate it with spoons. Grief pressed hard, then loosened. My phone buzzed. I ignored it for one more breath. When I stood, the screen lit my hand. A blocked number had sent a text and a PDF. Pay $500,000 by Friday, or we tell police you coerced a dying woman. Elder abuse. We have witnesses. Another message. Cashier's checks. Drop at locker 312, Union Station. No police. I sent the images to Selena and Daniel with the subject extortion. Daniel responded first. Do not engage. I'll alert security and freeze large transfers. Selena replied. Save everything. We'll call the detective and the court first thing. I walked home fast. I sat at the kitchen table and breathed. In 4, out 6. Aunt's blue mug waited on the shelf. I poured water and added a tea bag for the smell. I opened my laptop. In the folder titled For Storm Days, Aunt had left a scanned letter. Star, she wrote. People who love control use fear first, then stories. Let the truth be steady. Paperwork wins. Sleep enough to fight tomorrow. I closed my eyes and touched the locket. Then my phone lit again. New voicemail, unknown caller. My hand shook, but I hit speaker. I pressed play. My mother's voice, sweet and sharp. Tick-tock, Maya. Friday comes fast. Morning came with grey light. I forwarded the extortion texts, the PDF and my mother's voicemail to the detective with our case number. Selena filed a notice with the court and emailed Mr. Hale. Your clients must preserve communications. By noon, we were at Haven Hospice, where Aunt Evelyn spent her last week. The director, Ms. Alvarez, greeted us in a small office with a plant and a ticking clock. Ms. Ellis, your aunt was beloved here, she said. We keep records. Selena placed a letter of authorisation on the desk. We're requesting chart notes, capacity assessments and visitor logs for the last 2 months. Ms. Alvarez nodded. You'll have them. She paged through a binder, then clicked a computer. Here, daily notes by Nurse Patel. Speech clear, oriented, joking with staff. She discussed bequests. There's also video consent. Your aunt recorded short messages for you with our social worker each Sunday. My throat tightened. She did? Yes, Ms. Alvarez said. Would you like to view one? In a family room, the screen filled with Aunt Evelyn's face. Her hair was thinner. Her eyes were bright. Hi, Star, she said. Sunday check-in. I understand my choices and I stand by them. The trust is right. Selena is right. She smiled. Eat fruit. You forget. I laughed and cried at the same time. The date stamp was clear. The nurse's voice off camera said, client-oriented ×3. Aunt answered simple questions. Name, date, location. She named the trust and her reasons. No hesitation. Selena whispered, "This is gold. It shuts down the elder abuse story." She obtained certified copies and chain of custody logs. We signed receipts. Ms. Alvarez added a visitor printout. My parents' names never appeared. "Did they come?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, only you, Miss Rivera, and the trustee." We left with a slim box of records. In the car, Selena called Dr. Klein. Add hospice recordings to exhibits. Prepare a summary for the evidentiary hearing. Dr. Klein answered, "On it." Back home, the afternoon was soft. I made a sandwich I could taste. Then I opened a blank page and wrote, "The Evelyn Ellis Scholarship for students raised by someone who stayed." I listed 2 small awards from the Trust's charitable earmark. Start in spring, no essays longer than 1 page. I emailed Daniel, "How do we structure this without risking the spendthrift protections?" He replied, "Use the Trust's charitable clause. Will administer. No effect on your protections." For the first time in days, my shoulders lowered. I watered the lavender and phoned Mrs. Nguyen to ask if she'd help pick applicants when the time came. She said yes before I finished the sentence. At dusk, I watched the street cameras through the app. The vans were gone. A stray dog sniffed the curb. The sky turned plum. I brewed tea and opened Aunt's folder called For Courage. Inside was a sentence in her tidy hand. "When waves come, plant your feet and let the tide tell the truth." Night settled. I locked the doors, checked the windows and set the security system to arms stay. Selena's text popped up. "Sleep. We're strong. Court will see through this." I put the phone face down and lay beneath the quilt Aunt stitched when I was 12. Sometime after midnight, a noise lifted me from sleep, a crack like a fork on tile. I held still. The house listened with me. Another sound, the soft thud of a window latch. The alarm shrieked. Footsteps scraped the hall. They were inside the mansion. The alarm screamed. I grabbed my phone, hit 911 and whispered, "Break in at 48 Wren Street. Temporary restraining order on the suspects. I'm in a locked bedroom." The dispatcher kept me talking. I slid the dresser against the door, knees shaking. Footsteps moved down the hall. 2 sets, quick and clumsy. A voice hissed, "Check the office." A drawer slammed, glass crunched. The alarm's pulse pounded in my bones. "UNS are 2 minutes out," the dispatcher said. "Stay on the line." I pressed Aunt's locket to my palm and breathed in 4, out 6, brick by brick. Headlights washed the windows, then a sharp order cut the night. "Police, come out with your hands up." Boots thundered across the porch. The alarm silenced. A heavy knock rattled the frame. "Miss Ellis, it's PD. You're safe." I cracked the door and saw blue and red lights rolling over the walls. 2 officers stood in the hall with flashlights. Beyond them, my parents were pressed against the dining room wall, wrists cuffed, faces grey. A broken window glittered under the table like ice. An officer turned to me. "Are these the restrained parties?" "Yes," I said, voice thin. "There's a TRO and a pending case." Another officer's body camera blinked. "They were found inside after entry through the rear window," he said. He held up a screwdriver in a bag. "They had this. We'll log it." My mother tried to speak. "We came to talk." "Ma'am," the officer said, "you are under arrest for violation of a court order and burglary. You have the right to remain silent." My father stared at the floor. My chest pulled tight and then loosened, like a knot learning it could breathe. I gave a statement at the kitchen table while forensics dusted the sill. The officer read back my words. Outside, the street glowed with squad lights and curious faces. Mrs. Nguyen stood on her porch, hands folded, eyes worried. I lifted a hand. She nodded. At 3 a.m, the house was quiet again. Glass crackled under my shoes. I swept it into a box and taped a plastic sheet over the window. The air smelled like dust and pepper spray. I made tea in Aunt's blue mug because that was... We walked the house with a security tech. He measured frames and doors. We'll add laminated windows, reinforced locks, and 2 more cameras, he said. Also, change the gate code. Never reuse a code again. I wrote new rules on a pad. No contact without lawyers. No meetings in public places. All deliveries verified. Selena nodded. Good boundaries, she said. I'll also file for a no trespass order and move to extend the TRO. Morning light found us tired but upright. Daniel called to confirm the fraud alerts and told me the scholarship structure was ready when I was. I watered the lavender with a shaky hand and felt a small strength return. By afternoon, Mr. Hale emailed Selena and copied me. Proposal. Parties stipulate to no contact. Ms. Ellis withdraws recorder fraud notices and agrees to seal civil records. Criminal matters resolved with deferred judgment conditioned on record sealing. He called it a peace plan. Selena's jaw set. Sealing the civil record would hide counterfeit alerts that protect your title, she said. Withdrawing the recorder notices invites new scams. Deferred judgment lets them walk and try again. I read the email twice. My stomach went cold. So their peace plan weakens my walls. Yes, Selena said. It's a deal that helps them, not you. Outside, a siren wailed far away and faded. I looked at Aunt's photo on the piano. Choose peace with strong walls. I typed a reply to Selena. I reject any plan that seals fraud or lowers protection. We stand. My phone buzzed before she could answer. Unknown number. Accept the deal or we expose something you can't fix. The text glared on my screen. Accept the deal or we expose something you can't fix. I sent it to Selena and typed, no deal. My thumb hovered. Then I hit send. Her reply came fast. Good. We move for open records. Their fear is daylight. Daylight, I whispered, touching Aunt's locket. Okay. By noon we were back in court. The same judge, the same long clock. Mr. Hale stood with fresh papers and a tidy smile. Your Honour, to protect privacy and reputations, we ask to seal the civil file and the recorder's fraud notices. The parties can then resolve matters quietly. Selena rose. We oppose. Those notices protect Ms. Ellis's title and the public. Sealing now would hide forgery warnings and invite new fraud. Transparency deters abuse. The judge looked from one table to the other. Close the door to the public and people wonder why. Open it and the truth can be tested. Eyes down to the file. I also see a pending criminal case and a TRO violation. The judge lifted a page. Is there any legal basis to seal beyond general embarrassment? Mr. Hale smoothed his tie. Reputational harm is severe. Media harassment, media is not a legal standard, the judge said. Motion to seal is denied. Recorder fraud notices remain. The gavel tapped once. We proceed. Air returned to my lungs, warm and light. I looked at the wood grain on our table, a straight path. Selena stood again. Your Honour, we also request a preliminary injunction continuing the protections granted with the TRO. No contact except through counsel, and a hold on any transfer or filing naming Ms. Ellis, unless approved by Ms. Ellis, her trustee or this court. We add a bar on third-party filings by agents. Basis? The judge asked. She lifted a stack. Forensic report by Dr. Klein concluding the Westfield reversal shows fabrication indicators. Hospice records and videos confirming the decedent's capacity. Police report documenting a break-in during the TRO. And screenshots of extortion demands. Foundation, the judge said. Certified copies and declarations under penalty of perjury, Selena answered. Admitted, the judge said. Mr. Hale? He rose carefully. We dispute the conclusions, but we'll test them at trial. We ask the court to avoid language that brands my clients criminals. The criminal court will handle crimes, the judge said. I handle protection. That afternoon, I kept a promise to myself and walked into a small office above the bakery. A framed license hung on the wall. Dr. Lila Chen, therapist. She had kind eyes and a box of tissues on a low table. I'm not here to hate them, I told her. I'm here to stop letting them name me. Dr. Chen nodded. Say the name you want. Chosen, I said, surprised at my own voice. Not abandoned. Chosen. By Aunt Evelyn, by me. We talked about panic and breath and the little girl waiting by the window. Dr. Chen taught me to put a hand on my chest and say, I am the roof now. We wrote a list. Food, sleep, movement, one bright thing a day. A bright thing waited at home. Daniel's email, the Evelyn Ellis scholarship paperwork, ready to launch from the Trust's charitable clause. No risk to protections, he wrote. We'll handle administration. I printed the form and set it on the piano by Aunt's photo. The house felt taller. The next hearing came fast. The judge set dates like stakes in the ground. Discovery opens today. Evidentiary hearing on the Westfield document in 10 days. Civil trial on the guardianship claims, if any remain, in 6 weeks. The gavel touched wood. Keep it clean. We stood to leave. Mr. Hale drifted near, voice low. Last chance for peace, Ms. Ellis. I already chose peace, I said. It has walls. His smile cooled. He stepped back. In the hallway, Selena squeezed my shoulder. You were clear. I felt clear, I said, like a window finally washed. The elevator doors slid open with a soft bell. We stepped in. As they closed, a man in a courier jacket slid an envelope through the gap and vanished down the stairs. I opened it. Notice of intent to intervene in re-estate of Evelyn Ellis. Movant Jonah Reed, alleged biological son. My eyes jumped to the bottom line. Seeks heirship determination and partial distribution. My stomach turned cold. Selena read over my shoulder, jaw tight. They found a new angle, she said. The doors opened on the ground floor. Voices echoed. Papers rustled. I looked at the name again. Jonah Reed, and felt the floor tilt. If he was real, he could break everything open. Selena read the envelope twice, then tapped the heading. Probate court matter. Different track from guardianship, but they're trying to crack the will through heirship. Can he take the mansion? I asked. Most assets sit in your trust, she said. Trust property doesn't pass by will. If Jonah is real, he could only touch the probate residue, which is small, unless he first proves the will is invalid, and he can't do that with smoke. We were back in court 3 days later. The probate judge, silver hair, sharp eyes, took the bench. We have a motion to intervene by one Jonah Reed, alleging biological child status of the decedent Evelyn Ellis. A tall man in a clean thrift store coat stood at the side table. He looked nervous, not cruel. His attorney spoke. Your Honour, my client's mother, now deceased, swore Evelyn Ellis gave birth in a private clinic and placed the child elsewhere. We seek heirship determination. Selena rose. We oppose intervention absent prima facie proof. No birth certificate naming Ms. Ellis, no medical records, no chain of custody. And the decedent's estate is largely non-probate. Even if Mr. Reed were an heir, he cannot leapfrog the trust. The judge folded hands. Counsel for Reed, what documents do you have? Reed's attorney lifted a thin folder. An affidavit from the mother, an old photograph, and a clinic ledger with initials. Selena didn't blink. Anonymous initials and a hearsay affidavit cannot disturb a final plan. Reed spoke softly, eyes on the floor. I just want to know who I am. Something tugged behind my ribs. I touched Aunt's locket. So do I whispered, not unkindly. The judge nodded once. Mr. Reed, identity is serious. So are other people's settled lives. Motion to intervene is taken under advice. By afternoon, my civil trial opened next door on the guardianship claims that wouldn't die. The same trial judge set a brisk tone. Selena called the hospice director and Nurse Patel. They testified Aunt was oriented, decisive, and affectionate. We played clips of Aunt's Sunday videos. She named me. She named the trust. My throat burned and cleared at once. Mr. Hale cross-examined. Gentle voice, hard edges. Could grief have clouded Ms. Ellis's judgment? He asked. Grief is not incapacity, Ms. Alvarez answered. Dr. Klein rolled in a case and set up her scope like a telescope aimed at lies. See the toner speckle? She told the court. Laser print. The notary seal lacks impressed fibres. The signature floats above toner. This reversal order is fabricated. The judge thanked her and looked at me. Ms. Ellis, do you wish to make a brief statement before closings? I stood. My hands were steady. Your Honour, I was 7 when the Carters left. Aunt Evelyn stayed. She filed the papers, signed the forms, packed lunches, and clapped at tiny stages. She built walls that don't hurt anyone. They just hold. I'm not asking the court to punish anyone. I'm asking the court to let me live the way she planned. Safe, steady, useful. A hush moved through the room like a tide. Outside, I gave a short statement to the few reporters still hanging on. Family is love in action, I said. We're starting the Evelyn Ellis Scholarship for students raised by someone who stayed. My voice didn't shake. Cameras clicked. Mrs. Wynne squeezed my hand. We were almost to the elevator when a quiet voice said, Maya? Jonah Reed stood by the window, hat in his hands. Up close, he looked older than me by a few years and tired in the bones. I'm not with them, he said, nodding toward where my parents had been. A man came to my job, offered money, said there was a story I belonged to. I don't know if it's true. I wanted to be wanted by somebody once. Jonah flinched. I didn't know they'd ask that, he said. I swear. A bailiff stepped off the elevator, holding a fresh notice. Hearing on emergency motion to exhume is set for tomorrow at 9 a.m. The paper shook in my hand. They were going to try to open my mother's grave. The court began at 9. The motion said they wanted to dig up Aunt Evelyn for DNA. My stomach rolled, but I sat tall. The probate judge folded her hands. Mr. Reed's counsel, she said. Why exhumation now? His lawyer cleared his throat. To confirm lineage, Your Honour. Truth matters. Selena stood. Truth does matter. So do dignity and process. They have not shown a real record tying Evelyn Ellis to a birth. The clinic has not answered subpoenas yet. And there are less intrusive ways first. Personal effects with chain of custody. Hair from Aunt's brush kept in the safe. Sealed hospice swabs. Medical records. Exhumation is a last step, not a first. The judge looked at the thin folder on Reed's table. Affidavit, photo, ledger initials. No birth certificate. No nurse witness. No clinic chart. She turned to Jonah. Mr. Reed, I respect your search, but the law protects the dead until the living bring more than shadows. Her gavel touched wood. Exhumation denied without prejudice. Finish discovery. If hard proof appears and lesser methods fail, you may renew. Jonah nodded, eyes wet. Yes, Your Honour. He did not look at my parents in the back row. We crossed the hall for the civil case. The trial judge had a tidy pile of papers and a steady voice. We'll take the forged Westfield reversal first. Dr. Klein set up her scope. The judge leaned close as she showed toner speckle, a rubber-stamped seal where an embosser should be, and a signature floating above the print. Mr. Hale tried to wiggle, but the science held still. Findings, the judge said. The reversal order is fabricated. It does not exist in Westfield. Sanctions to be set after briefing. Mr. Hale blinked. My parents stared at the table. Selina called the hospice director. Mr. Hale rose, voice quieter than before. We only want what is safe. Selina answered, calm as a bridge. Safety is here already. Spendthrift trust, professional oversight, counsel, fraud flags, injunctions. Guardianship is a last resort. It takes a person's choices. Maya is making sound ones. The judge stacked the files, square and neat. Rulings, she said. Petition for guardianship and conservatorship is dismissed with prejudice. The adoption and will stand. The injunction becomes permanent. No contact outside counsel and no filing or transfer naming Ms. Ellis without approval from Ms. Ellis, her trustee, or this court. The recorder's fraud notices stay. Costs to Ms. Ellis. Sanctions on the fabricated filing will issue after motion practice. Criminal matters remain in the other court. The gavel fell. A sound like a knot letting go moved through my chest. After, Mr. Hale tried one more soft smile in the hall. It slipped off my new walls. My parents walked past without words. For once, I did not reach after them in my head. I wished them healing, far away from me. 2 months later, a soft Saturday began with bread in the oven and sun on the piano. The Evelyn Ellis Scholarship opened with 2 small awards. Mrs. Newen helped read the 1-page letters. We chose a girl whose grandma raised her and a boy who had lived with his aunt since first grade. Daniel handled the trust side. The spendthrift protections stayed firm. That afternoon, I unlocked the old studio at the back of the mansion. We painted the walls bright and called it the community room. Kids came with folded drawings. We set crayons in jars and clay on a low table. I hung Aunt's quilt by the door with a small brass sign. She stayed. The house felt wider, like it could hold more than fear. I watered the lavender. Bees worked the purple spikes, busy and calm. On the porch, Jonah stopped at the gate. He lifted a hand. Selina had arranged a gentle path. Clinic records first, then, if needed, a careful test from Aunt's brush under court rules. We waited on papers, not on pain. Thank you for not letting them dig. Not revenge with fire, not victory with broken glass, just living well, with firm lines and open hands. The best answer to their storms was a steady roof. I locked the door, not from fear, but from care. Inside the quiet house, peace took its seat and stayed.